place you go and what were your focuses?
Yeah, we practiced in the indoor for a while early on. So we did like pre-practice run-throughs and all those things, pre-practice special teams, warmed up, stretched. We did individual ball security, so we wanted to make sure we still got some practice work in, some special teams in there. Then we did like a live, little bit of live stuff in there. Then we went out to the stadium, and we got about, I think, 90 plays. Our goal was to get 3 groups, all at least 30 plays live. So, we were probably somewhere around there. Might have gotten 32 for one group of 29, which keeps track as we go. And so we did everything from open field to red zone to low red zone to goal line to 2-point plays to end of game, needing a yard. We kicked live field goals, had a couple punts. So we got pretty overall general work. You can tell it's early on. We've been doing so much teaching, 7-on-7, 9-on-7, team run, team pass, those types of generic scripted things. But I thought it was really good. Pleased, came out of it healthy, and a lot of guys got work. Look forward to watching the tape.
Not just from today, just where's your impression of how the team's pass rush is looking right now?
That's a great question. I'm looking forward to watching this. I mean, we have some guys I know can rush. I think we have some really athletic guys. I think we're also pass protecting at a really high level, which is really good. So I wouldn't say we're absolutely dominant, like destroying them defensively. I think we're kind of having like an iron sharpens iron type of back and forth. But I like where the D-line is. I think Phil's doing a great job with those edge guys. Terry's doing a great job with the other guys, and they're working together. And I see like kind of a comprehensive rush plan starting to come together.
What's this spring been just for the coaching staff coming together, and just have you seen maybe the structure of the staff as it is now make a difference just as you've gone through spring?
Yeah, I mean, I think every year you enter with a new team, a new coaching staff probably. Even if the coaches are coming back, they're all different, right? So I think they're all making an impact. They're all providing a lot of input. All doing a nice job. We have a bunch of guys who work really hard. So I've been really pleased. Like I said, I think last week they've the strain on me is less because they handle their business, and that's not to say that I'm just saying in general, like those guys there's a bunch of really, really professional guys who, I think I had to walk into the defense yesterday and be like, hey guys, like enough, get out of here. We have a lot of recruits in on Friday. That's different, but they were getting really prepared for today. So I really like the staff, really like the job they're doing. They're teaching, coaching, and you see guys getting better.
Hey, man, I don't know how close you followed the house settlement stuff this week with the grandfathering of the 105, and like current players may not have to be a part of that 105 number. How does that change things? I mean, have you had any discussions with folks? Because obviously you might have 20-plus players that you have to have hard conversations with, but could that change things moving forward, and have you had any talks? I'm
getting my information for the most part, kind of where you guys get information. Like I'm following Ross Dellinger basically every day. So it's kind of like when you guys asked me about this, the Colorado-Syracuse spring game. I was like, I'll wait and see what happens. It's kind of like that, right? Now, I was in Big Ten meetings early on where I was a major proponent of grandfathering people in. Even if you went like, 120, 115, 110, 105, or 150, I know some of the conferences had some concerns about that. And I think part of the reason why they had concerns was, hey, what if all these teams start scholarshiping 120 guys, then there's not less guys for everyone else. Let me just say this first. I don't think there's anything wrong with giving kids money to go to college, paying for kids to go to college, right? Putting guys on scholarship. I mean, there's going to be enough players to go around. So I don't have those major concerns. And I think as we've moved forward and we've learned more about what the house settlement could be, again, I don't know what it is, what it could be. I think, the concerns about people just putting everyone on scholarship and hoarding players in the old days, the 70s of 150 scholarship players, I think that's kind of going away. So I'll wait and see what happens. We have a lot of smaller colleges coming to our practices, and I think they're hopefully they're coming to watch the way we practice. I think they're also going to keep an eye on the roster, and if there's guys moving on. Been really pleased with some of our guys that moved on in the winter. Was hated to see them go, but man, I was fired up when Mason Jones got a scholarship to go to Lindenwood. Just the strain that removes from his family. Or the guys from Kearney were here the other day and hearing that Riker Evans is doing so well or Devon Hall's doing so well. So, I want the guys to be somewhere in school, playing football, happy, And so we'll see what happens. Might be right for some guys, to move on. What it has done to us, as you've seen, is we haven't taken very many walk-ons. And I'd like to be able to take walk-ons every year, but we haven't this year, so we'll see. I don't know when that's going to all happen. I would assume there'll be some sort of relief, but I don't know that for sure.
How do you advise guys with the portal opening next week about if they're on the fringe in that 105 about whether they should stay, they should go? What are those conversations like?
We did it in December where we told every person. I feel like Simon Cowell right now, like product placement, we told everybody in December because that's when I thought it was fair. Like, hey, if we did the 105 right now, you would be in the 105. You would be out of the 105. You would be competing for the 105. So we try to do that to be fair. We have some guys who said, like, I don't care, Coach, I'm a Husker. I'm here until you guys tell me I can't be here. And that pulls at your heart a little bit, right? Some other guys are like, thanks for letting me know. So we've tried to be transparent since day one. And every time I said something, I do PowerPoints in meetings about rev share, like the Monday after Iowa, here's what rev share means, here's what this means. It all says pending the House settlement. And, so all of this is, not guaranteed. So we'll have conversations with each person all the time about their situation, right? And, I think players sometimes make a mistake going into the portal looking for an improved situation. Unless, if you're not going to play somewhere and they tell you, hey, you're not going to play somewhere, or certainly if you're not going to be in the 105, then absolutely you should find something. So we'll do the best that we can. If it doesn't come out by Wednesday, we'll probably have to say, hey, if we did it today, you would not be in the 105, right? So, and I'm hoping that when they do the 105, they finally finalize the 105, they'll give those kids who aren't in it maybe some other sort of relief. But I don't know. So I'm sometimes I'm reading to see what, the Twitter says to figure it all out, because that's where I get a lot. Now, Troy does an amazing job, but it's still not done, not concrete.
Getting back to today a little bit, is there anything in that scrimmage that clicked that you really liked?
I liked a lot of it. It's really hard, to watch a scrimmage in a 90,000 seat stadium with no one in it. And now it used to be like you could hear the cracking of the pads. Now we wear the Guardian caps, so you hear like this over and over again. So just sometimes you're like, man, do we even want to hit anybody? And then all of a sudden you watch the tape and you're like, oh, that was violent. So I've learned to adjust that. I thought, early on with the offense, they had a lot of procedural penalties and some things like that early, and then they kind of regrouped and then had some really nice things. I thought early on defensively we were overrunning some tackles. We weren't tracking the near hip, and Heinrich caught a ball down the left sideline, made a guy miss, and went for another 20 yards. And then they started to tackle better. I think the biggest thing is we look like a really physical team. We're blocking, we're tackling, we don't look soft. And while there might be a drop-off sometimes as you get down the line, there's not really a drop-off to me when I'm just watching it out there between so-and-so and so-and-so, if that makes sense. There's a lot of guys you can put out there, and it looks like we're covering people. It looks like we're out there and we're covering people. There's not a lot of guys running wide open in the drop-back passing game. So, again, there's a lot to watch, but I liked all those things. And then at the end, all the situational stuff, the guys are understanding it. I don't have to explain it time and time again. I did some situations today I haven't even covered with the guys, but there's recall from last year or the guys who really watch a lot of football.
You mentioned the pass pro has been at a high level. How have you seen Elijah adapt to his new setting and other guys working at those tackle spots?
Yeah, Elijah's got a lot of work still to do. He's got all the talent in the world. But he was in the hot tub last week, and I walked by and I started talking to him. I said, "How you doing?" For him, it's like, coach, this moves a lot. You don't take it for granted, right? He's from down there. He goes to Alabama for several years, right? And all of a sudden now he's here for his last year. And while he's happy and having a great time and learning and all those different things, it's still a lot, right? So, as I said to him, well, you're going to play 12 years in the NFL, and you'll probably be living at some point in your career, you'll probably be living in Vegas on Monday, and you'll be playing in Atlanta on Wednesday, and you're just going to have to figure it out. So, this is good practice for him. So, he's got a long way to go in terms of continuing to learn our stuff, but he's really willing, he's eager, he puts the work in. He's been a great kid. He's doing his work in school. So, I've been pleased, and we got a long time till the season comes. I think he'll just get better and better and better. When I say a long way to go, it's just learning different protections and different calls. And obviously, he played for Nick Saban and played for Kalen DeBoer. Like, those are elite offenses. And we do a lot of things same things that I did when I was with the O-line in New York that Donnie did when he was with Chicago. So you might have a different word, similar, and he's adapting. Anxious to watch this tape because you're hoping that everybody gets better every day, and I'm sure he is. So glad to have Elijah. On the other side, Tyler Canuck has been doing a great job at right tackle. Really, really one of the guys coming on really strong. No greater representative of our team and our culture. I can't tell you the amount of people, whether they're recruits or just random people who say, hey, I met this football player. He came up, we were taking a picture. He offered to take it for us. And he's another guy that's been somewhere else, came here, and values all the things that are here. Going to the other groups, so those other guys are all doing really well. One guy, I don't like to single a lot of guys out, but one guy, Grant Seagren, as soon as Grant decides that he's a scholarship player, he's going to be something else. Now, he was 230-pound tight end wherever he was. He's now 315. He's in the rake school, which means he's an elite student. He leaves all the time. He has to leave this meeting to go to class, that meeting to go to class. He makes it up. He's got all the talent to be a starter. He just has to, in his mind, say, I'm a starting left tackle. Not, I walked on or whatever. Like, forget all the walk-on stuff. That's in your own head. He's a big-time player in my mind. So, we've got 4 guys standing over there with the O-line who started a lot of games, and Henry, Gunner, Teddy, and Turner. But those other guys, man, they're doing a great job. Grant Brick's doing a really nice job. Knudsen, Brock's doing a great job. Preston plays guard, goes out and kicks out and plays tackle. So a lot of versatility at the tackle position right now.
I'm curious, with the portal opening this week, you're seeing some holdouts and things going on with players with NIL. I mean, as a head coach, how do you get in front of those? Is there a way to get in front of these things that are happening? Obviously, the Tennessee one today is what everyone's talking about. Their quarterback left the day before the spring.
Yeah, and one thing I've learned is the stories we hear, not always the story. So I don't overreact to things I hear on the outside. On the inside, we just try to be transparent with guys. What I said, we played the Iowa game, and that Monday I walked in, I said to the guys, listen, everybody has the right to make the best decision for them. I just asked 2 things. That A, you make the decision based on the right information. And don't come to me later and say, well, they told me this, but they end up doing that. Like, there's stories everywhere. And that's why, if you've been here and you trust us, if you're here and you say, well, Coach Rhule's lied to me, I don't trust him, then okay. But if you've been here and we've always told you the truth, as best we know it, then if we tell you, hey, this is where we see you, then you probably should listen to that as opposed to somebody out there. Like, everyone out there always has something better for you. You know what I mean? Everybody's always got a better scheme, a quicker way to do this, a faster way to do that. There really is no quick fix, quick way to getting there. So make sure you're listening to the right information and then do it the right way. I left Temple to be the head coach at Baylor. Temple gave me my start. Temple had me an assistant coach. Temple gave me my first head coaching job. But when the time came, I took on a new challenge. So I exited there, so I get it. Number 2, I left Baylor to go be the head coach in Carolina. So I don't fault somebody when they leave here. I just tell the guys, make sure you're walking into the right situation. I've walked into many situations in my life, business, professional, they tell you one thing and it ends up being another. So be careful. Say to yourself, who am I getting the information from? Can I trust it? And that's all I want for our guys, because I desperately want them all to be happy and healthy and be successful. So sometimes I think there's really 2 groups. There's the guys who aren't going to play and they really want to play. And whether it's 105 or they're just not quite good enough, and it looks like that's going to be the way for the rest of their career, and they want to move down, we try to help them as much as we can. And I love watching them succeed. There's a kind of a second group of guys who are good enough to play here, and I think they should stick it out and fight. I think too many people, outside people, parents, coaches, we're always trying to find a better situation. But if you really are an NFL player or you're really a great player, you'll make your situation good enough by just getting better. And if you stay in this place, if you stay in this weight room, this training facility, this training table for 4 years, you're probably going to get developed. So chasing a better situation because you have a chance to go quicker, but you're not getting the same training and all that, it doesn't make as much sense to me, but that's me. If someone's not happy here, I want them to leave. Bryant's a freshman here. If Bryant wasn't happy, Julie and I would say, well, let's find some place to make you happy. just don't leave because someone's saying, hey, I can get you a couple more bucks or a couple more of this or a couple more of that, because I think a lot of the guys who leave, they find out not all that's true, you know. So I just try to deal with each one as it comes if they ask me. Some guys don't ask me. Some guys do. We certainly take transfers, so I can't say that, you know, guys shouldn't transfer. Anyway, that's kind of long-winded. But like, if you're at a place like this, you should really only leave if you're never going to get on the field and you want to play. I mean, if you have a chance, but if you're not the starter right now and you want to know, I mean, Hassan Reddick went from walk-on to first-team All-Pro, making $27 million. He did it by just showing up every year and getting a little bit better, right? And all of a sudden, he was going into his senior year, and this is Haas did this, not me. Haas was going to be, they projected maybe a 7th-round pick. And 6 months later, we were sitting there in the green room, and he was the 13th pick in the draft. Like, there was no which situation is better to get me to be drafted. Like, that doesn't exist. He did the work, got better, played better every year, found his way to get on the field. And if you're going to listen to some other college coach tell you, hey, you'll be the starter, then don't call me afterwards and say, well, I wasn't the starter. Well, I mean, they're recruiting some kids just to come be backups, right? Like, if they think they're a CFP team, they're saying to themselves, hey, I need guys for 16 games. So I'm gonna go get this kid because he can maybe start from us in week 12. So just be careful of the information you're listening to. And when you do decide to leave, do it the right way. Be honest. If guys do that, I got no issue with it. And I'll tell them the truth. If they say, Coach, where do I stand? I'll tell them exactly where they stand. But as parents, I got 3 kids. It's impossible to put our kids in the right situation all the time. What we should do is make our kids strong enough that they can turn a bad situation into a good one. And that's, I guess I'm paraphrasing Bruce Lee and JFK, like, what is it? Don't ask for the strength. Don't ask for, life to be easy. Ask for the strength to handle it when it's hard. That's super paraphrased, but I try to live my life by that. I try to share that with our guys. So every situation is going to be different. We're not super out there looking for a ton of guys in the portal. If a guy pops up, we might take a guy or two if it's the right fit, but we like this football team. And we, I don't know if there's enough footballs to go around to the guys I think can make plays on this team. And so we want to play a ton of guys on defense. So I'm not sitting here chasing anybody except someone who can be a difference maker if they showed up.
Can you tell at this point how close the gap is? You mentioned wanting to play a lot of guys on defense, like those guys who are in their 2nd and 3rd year, how close they're getting to guys who are veterans and pushing them at this point. Is that?
Yeah, we can start 6 different guys at corner right now. We could start 4 or 5 different guys at safeties. And so, one of them might say, well, if I'm not the starter, I'm going in the portal. So that might change in the next week or so. But for the most part, great players love competition. We're going to play some dime. We're going to play some, like we talked about advancing the 3rd down stuff. We're not going to just sit there in the 3-3 and, we're gonna put 5 corners on the field at times, 5 safeties. I mean, I want different groupings out there. I want a ton of guys playing. I want to play more than I want to make it to the college football playoff. I want to play 15, 16 games a year, and you need a lot of guys to do that. Most importantly, I want the guys in our program to be getting bigger, faster, stronger, mastering their mindset, mastering their lives. And so, we're going to continue to develop those guys. So I think we have a ton of guys here that can play. The depth in the secondary, I think, is really, really, really strong.
Anything else?
I don't know if this is my phone.